Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and today we are going to be talking about the 8 attributes of Heroes Unlimited. So let's get started. So in Heroes Unlimited by Palladium Books, there are 8 attributes, and I'm just going to read them off because they're not your typical D&D attributes. You have Intelligence Quotient, also known as IQ. Mental Endurance, ME. Mental Affinity, MA. Physical Strength, PS. Physical Prowess, PP. Physical Endurance, PE. Physical Beauty, PB, and Speed, SPD. Now, each attribute, again, is different than other well-known tabletop RPGs. You obviously have your common sense one. Everyone knows what IQ is. Everyone knows what strength is. Most people know what physical endurance is. But now you have mental endurance. Mental endurance is just like physical endurance, but it's all mental. It's willpower. It's your magic defense, things like that. Your physical prowess is your dexterity, right? It's the degree of dexterity and agility of your character. In my opinion, physical prowess is the most powerful attribute in all of Heroes Unlimited. It affects a lot. And so I have seen a lot of people make some really strong characters just because they have a high physical prowess. Physical beauty is exactly what you would think it is. It's your looks. Your mental affinity, though, is how much charm you have. So you might be the most beautiful character in the world, but if your mental affinity is low, people don't like you. Or vice versa. You might be extremely ugly, but if your mental affinity is high, you might be able to charm the crap out of people. Speed is exactly what it is. It's just your raw physical speed. Now, your hit points in this game are based on your physical endurance, but unlike other games, your hit points are not what automatically gets hurt when you take damage. In Palladium Books, you have something called SDC. It's known as Structural Damage Capacity. Now, this is kind of like your pain threshold. I've talked about this before. You get this from your character type, and then there are some super abilities and some physical skills that can make it higher. Your average person probably has up to 30, maybe 40, just to give you an idea. Now, different damage types are applied to your SDC, and some go to your hit points, such as being shot with a gun and things like that. That damage will affect your hit points or your life points. Whereas getting smacked might only affect your SDC. Once your SDC is worn down, the idea is that you're bleeding, you've got serious wounds. When you take hit point damage, that is a critical thing. That means you are literally bleeding out. You are suffering major issues, right? Now, their attributes, what you do is you roll 3d6 when you're creating a character, and if you end up with a 16, 17, or 18 on an attribute, you roll another d6 and apply it to that attribute when you're creating your character. There are, again, physical skills in the game that you can buff your strength, your physical endurance, your prowess, and speed. So if you roll low on those things, it's not the end of the world. But the thing about the game is that you don't get any bonuses or negatives if your number isn't a 16 or higher. So if you have a physical strength of 7 to 15, there's nothing, no modifiers, there's no negatives, nothing. There are people out there who have house-ruled negatives below those numbers. But the idea, too, is that your attributes, the average strength, your average intelligence character, are all around 9. So there's a large gap between 9 and 15 where, again, nothing happens. There's no bonuses, there's no negatives, nothing like that. With your intelligence, if you have a 16 or higher, you start getting a percentage bonus to your skills. For example, 16 is 2%, all the way up to 16% at a 30 of intelligence. Your mental endurance is going to give you a save versus psionic attacks and a save versus insanity, starting with a +1 and +1 at 16. And then at 30, you get a +8 to your save to psionic attacks and a +13 to save versus insanity. With mental affinity, you get a percentage skill to trust or intimidate. At 16, you get a 40% chance, and at 30, you get a 97% chance. So an attribute like MA tops out at 30. You can't go higher than a 30 with the mental affinity. Whereas an intelligence could possibly go above a 30. Your physical strength gives you a damage bonus, starting at a +1 at 16, all the way up to a +15 at 30. Now, it also determines how much you can lift, like just the raw strength of your character. This attribute can go on forever. You could have a physical strength of 100, really. There's no reason you couldn't in this. However, your limitations might be that, if you lift something this heavy, your character can't withstand like carrying something like this as a normal human. So it still crushes you, or it still rips your arm out of its socket or whatever. And they even say in here, once you exceed certain numbers with certain types of characters, you can't exceed certain numbers with certain types of characters, Physical prowess will give you bonuses to parry, dodge, and bonuses to strike, with +1 at 16 and +8 at 30. So again, that's like every other number goes up 1. Physical endurance is a save versus coma and death. It's also a save versus magic and poison, and the percentages are different. For example, save versus coma death at 16 is 4%, at level 30, not level 30, at a 30 attribute number is +30%, whereas save versus magic and poison is a +1 at 16 and a +8 at 30. The physical beauty gives you an ability to charm or impress. So at a 16, you get a 30%, and at a 30, you get a 92%. Speed doesn't give you any special bonuses other than raw natural ability to run. So that's the 8 attributes, and then the hit points and SDC on top of that. That is Heroes Unlimited attributes in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. We are going to deep dive further into these things and how they work moving forward in this series as we get to certain things like combat and skills and things like that. We will also be creating a character for Heroes Unlimited so you can see the process and how it comes out. And we might even do some samples of combat and skill rolls on this channel just to give you an idea, again, how to play Heroes Unlimited. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Be sure to smash that subscribe button if this sounds like something you want to see, if you want to learn more. We also cover other things such as Dungeons and Dragons. We have live plays, and we do world building. So again, smash that subscribe button, hammer that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Game on.